Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the Corner Flag Thought Podcast. It's been a while. It has indeed been a while. And to be fair, this is the Christmas period, which a side effect of it being the busiest time for football, it also is a busy time, and a lot of people live. So scheduling kind of has been an issue. However, we are here, we live to talk about the latest in football. So a little bit of housekeeping. One, come on, share this with somebody, please. It's not that hard. Can't send to anybody you know. Here's what. Let me break it down for you, right? From now on, this is what the format is gonna be. We're gonna have headline stuff, and then we're gonna have quick hits, right? The headline stuff is stuff we'll go more in depth in, and the quick hits is stuff that we'll probably spend honestly like 2 to 3 minutes talking about. I try and keep the first part of the pod in under hour, at most an hour and 10 minutes, right? Then the second half will be like what is over like the special talk for that week. Like this week, we finally doing the world class players thing, and that will be out later this week. So, people to share this with, the persons that we're going big on is Barcelona slash La Liga title race. If you're not a Barca fan who going through it, you know, send it with. If you're not a Real fan who kind of confused what to think, send it to them. And if by chance you're not a Girona fan, aka a City fan, aka a former United fan, send it to them as well. Then we also have United. What to think of them? Share it with them. Chelsea. What to even do with them? Share it with them as well. And then we have Newcastle and Tottenham. So yeah, on this week though, to break it down with me, we have Girona slash City fan slash AC Milan fan. Virgil.
Yeah,
Virgil's a good my guy.
yeah, going good. The week was almost a perfect week, but Milan had always do Milan stuff.
I was
And
not going to say you almost get, a trio of wins.
yeah,
And
but
what's the funny thing? The team that was spoiling your trio of wins all the time was actually City.
it
You
was
know?
exactly.
Like funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have Patrick. Patrick was a good my guy.
I good man. Always blessed. Always happy to be here.
Congrats on graduating with your masters. We are very proud of you.
Thank you. Another one on
My
them.
shop with the
Yes,
boy
sir.
Pats, boy.
I did not go to my graduation
Yes,
though.
because he didn't. No, he didn't even go his degree graduation either.
No,
Mind you.
I don't know. I don't know when the last time I went to any of my graduations.
To be fair, I didn't go back.
Exactly.
We didn't
Prez.
have a
My last
graduation.
graduation was
Yeah,
Prez.
yeah, for real, facts. So, yeah,
Yep. Skip all
cool
of that.
guys. So,
It was yesterday.
oh, it was okay. Either way, very proud
Mhm.
of you, my guy.
Yeah.
And with that being said,
Appreciate that.
we're gonna get straight into it. Okay, guys. So I don't really have an order in which we need to actually go through this. It's just these are the four things that we really need to cover. So with that being said, I think the most interesting one to talk about is the chameleon because you can never know what color of them you're gonna get come out, and that is Manchester United. So why don't we actually start there? United lost 4-0 to Bournemouth. I remember telling Salik, I mean so real with you dog, Bournemouth gonna win this weekend. And he was like, nah,
Yep.
they gotta steamroll them. However, the Iraola army marches on. We now have 16 points from the last 21 available. And the only loss in that run was to Manchester City. And they went to Old Trafford. The first half was a little cagey. It was a little bit end to end after Solanke opened the scoring. Second half, though, was basically all Bournemouth. And I generally believe Bournemouth have been playing some good football. But what makes this result even more interesting is that if you saw that United lost to Bournemouth, you might have think that this had come off the back of some really horrible form. When earlier in the week, they actually beat Chelsea at home with 28 shots, amassing nearly 5 XG. So then you would think, oh, maybe they was in a rather good form. But no, before that, they lost to Newcastle. At Newcastle, albeit. Where Anthony Gordon continues his streak of scoring against big teams, by the way. But, yeah, and that's kind of how it's been. Manchester United, guys, where do we go with them? Patrick.
I mean, where really ask me? I ask them out, what do we expect out of them or how do we fix them? I think it's two different things.
Where do we see them going? I think that is the question then. Where do we see them going? Because if you want,
I mean,
I
I
can
think
read out to you what is like the next few fixtures, at least till January. And you can probably give us where you feel we might see them come at the end of this run, right? So,
Well, I'm gonna take a look
so
at it here,
right.
right? I seen it and I have it in front of my face here, and if we look at them until the end of January, I think it's looking like it's going to be more losses than wins. But you never really know with United. You don't know how they're gonna show up. I mean, a lot of teams you could say, like Newcastle, for example, if you play them at home, you probably lose. If you play them away, you probably win. That's something that I could predict. It don't make that much sense, but it's something you could predict. But United now, you never really know. They beat Chelsea, which I thought was a good game for
Mhm.
them, and then they lose to Bournemouth. It's it's kind of weird,
Yeah,
right? Now they have Bayern coming up, either tomorrow or Wednesday. Not sure which day it's going to be.
tomorrow.
I think
I
it's
think it's
tomorrow though.
tomorrow. Yeah, so today for
Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if they
Yeah.
win the game. If they won the game like 2-0, I wouldn't even be surprised because that's how hard it is to predict them right now. They're playing at home, so you would think maybe. And Bayern haven't been in like crazy form either.
Mhm.
It's also Bayern though, so I personally expect Bayern to crush
To be
them.
fair, I think the
But
worst thing for United
who
was the
knows?
fact that Bayern lost at the weekend. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
Right. And then after that, we're looking at they have to play Liverpool over the
lovely
weekend
stuff.
at
With no
Anfield.
Bruno.
That could be honestly. I think that is the only game that I could say 100% they lose. All right, I don't think they're going to Anfield right now and coming out with anything other than
Yeah.
0 points. It is what it is. But then after that, we're looking at West Ham, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, back to back to back. Forest have been in good form; they could lose that. Aston Villa has been in great form; they could definitely lose that. And West Ham is just a bogey team; they could lose that. But also, and this is going to sound weird, this is not really high level analysis here. If I told you they win all
You will
three
be
games, I don't
surprised.
even think you'll be surprised because again, it is a weird team to predict. So where do we see them going from here? I don't know. We just have to watch and see how it goes. But I think I could put my foot down when it comes to where they finish at the end of the
Nah, I ain't
season.
bother. I ain't bother.
Um, and for up down, I would say it anyway. For up down team like this, I think they could be very happy with sixth. Stay in Europe and just try to keep
The
building
reason
from
I
there.
didn't want
For,
it
for
is
up
because I
down
was
team like
going
that.
to ask it if come the end of January, if you see them going up from six to lower than six, to be fair.
From the end of January, I could. They have the fixtures to do it. I mean, they'll probably lose at Liverpool, but West Ham, Aston Villa, thankfully for them, is at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe a one
No,
pointer.
Aston Villa wave
Nottingham
form
Forest,
is literally the polar opposite of their home form.
Yeah.
They have one, I think
exactly.
it's two wins on the road or one. Newcastle also
Yeah,
have
similar to
one. Yeah,
Newcastle,
like the two of them is two crazy
Yeah,
teams, though. Polar opposite they are away from
yeah,
home. But yeah, continue.
yeah. And then Tottenham again at Old Trafford. Tottenham is a team that's there for the beating. Tottenham are either going to be winning games 4-0 or losing games 3-1. But they're not gonna have much of an in between here. And then we're looking at Wolves, and then they play West Ham
Yep.
again. So that takes them to the end of January. And I wouldn't be surprised if they push for like fifth, maybe even fourth, but I doubt. I think that's stretching.
Yeah.
I think fifth is about their ceiling coming out of
Yeah.
January. I don't expect them to move up though. Personally, I think they might be sitting around eighth by the time that time comes. Cause we just don't expect them to win all those games,
Yeah.
right? Like we don't expect that,
Virgil,
right? So yeah.
anything?
This honestly could be on any one of the quick hits because just like as I mentioned last time when they played Everton. So the fact that United fans get hype up beating Everton says a lot. And then after what they proceed to do, they go to the lose against Newcastle. They win against Chelsea, a team who I feel is in the same boat as United, and then they lose against Bournemouth. So honestly, there's not non-surprising. I feel like for United, this is the trend that United has set. United is going to continue like this. They will have some games where they will surprise you. For the neutral, for United fans, they will
Mm-hmm.
be over the moon. And then
Mm-hmm.
for other games that's winnable, they'll drop points. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like well, I don't care to answer where they're going to be at the end of the season. The main thing for them is you can't expect a successful season where you have these games where you're dropping points, especially at a crucial point in the season. Because wherever,
Yeah.
wherever they end up at the end of the season, I know for a fact it's not going to be some place that will celebrate it.
Yeah. Um where I feel with it is like, and I will bring this up later in the when we talk about other teams as well. Is look, performances dominate my thinking of teams over everything. I like, for example, they beat Everton 3-0, and I generally did not feel like that was reflective of the game at hand, especially in the first half. And I mean, when we look at the goal that Ducore scored this weekend, right? Like,
Hmm.
when you think that he had a similar chance to that against United that he missed, when that's actually a chance that we have seen him score plenty times over the years, that
Yeah.
they ride their luck a lot with the way that they play, with the players that they have come to depend on. And that I remember, last week I went and I watched the United Chelsea game with some friends, and I was asking the United fans afterwards about like certain players if they are willing to cut ties with them. And the reality is that, this United team and the core that is built around, for all the talent that some of these players have, regardless if it is Ten Hag, is Mourinho, is Louis Van Gaal, it is, who was the last one? Ole. It is built around a bunch of inconsistent players. That is just the reality of it. They are at their peaks, could be some of the best players in the world, and all have fluctuated. That they've had seasons that you could have called world class, as well as be on the under end it and had terrible seasons and stuff like that. And because of that, we're gonna continue to have this mixed bag of results from Manchester United, and the performances is actually the most consistent part of them in terms of what you can get, with Chelsea being the outlier, which probably says so much about Chelsea that they were the only game that you can see that, United really had extended periods of dominance and stuff like that. And but the performances managed to more or less stay the same, and the results just fluctuate in terms of if, the little margin here goes for them or the margin there goes for them. And because they do have players that are capable of pulling off some really wonderful stuff, some days the margins will go for them, like the Everton game, where Garnacho scores a whirly to silence the home crowd. And but then now you have other games where, even though they, again, where scoreline probably didn't represent the game itself, they lost 1-0 to Newcastle, where truly Newcastle had them pegged back
Yeah.
and was going after them wave after wave after wave after wave, And then now they come up against Bournemouth, who admittedly have been in good form, but also struggle to deal with these things, And so what they are now, I don't see much changing for them. As Patrick said, and I totally agree, is that they can either go on and lose the next four. They could even draw again, somehow draw at Anfield and then manage to win the other three, or they could lose all. And the fact that you can't attest to what you're going to actually get, it speaks so much to the little faith that we have in a lot of these players that actually perform week in, week out. And that's where we are with this team. And the reality is, whether people want to admit it or not, they can go and sack Ten Hag if they want to. We're gonna have the same conversation next year because
Hmm.
it's the same players. And what they will do, they'll pop up again. They'll put together that 3-4 months run of form. We're gonna hear again about how these players. This one is the best in the league for that position. This one is the best in the league for that position. This one is world class. That one is world class. And they might manage, depending on how the state the league is in, to get back into Champions League football the following season. We're gonna have the fall apart again. Why? Because they continue to depend on players that you can't depend on for consistent performances. And the cycle will just continue. You know? Like, tell me.
No, I was just going to say I think that's a better analysis than we could have give, because yeah, I think it's so hard to talk about United without just saying that it don't make
Yeah.
sense. I'm just glad they give like a good analysis, because I was
Cause I was
struggling.
gonna, I was gonna say, I was gonna say, like, if we sit down and talk about United, where you talk about Ten Hag and everything, you're sitting down looking at it, because like, I could go into everything that seen as so much problems, because again, there are plenty things United fans, United the pundits who's United fans, United the hierarchy, things that they do that basically make up the bed and make up the mess that they're in right now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say think everything was smooth for them, but 80% of the issues is by their own doing and by poor
Yeah.
judgment and poor decisions from the higher ups on the background. So that's why in moments like this, I'm like, if all we do is sit down here talking about the performances and forget all that, I cannot sit down here and analyze United as a big team when it have games like this that happen. It have
Yeah.
other games that don't involve the big teams that I would have much that I feel like I would enjoy talking about more than this because this is just United at this point.
I want to put a bow on this, and we can move on to Chelsea after this, right? So I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask you a question, and I want just quick answers. Is that so? It's a two-part question, but what you both answers one time. Can you see Ten Hag getting sacked? And two, if he does get sacked, do you guys think that that is the correct move? Virgil, go first now.
Um, and that's what I was starting off. I don't the thing is I don't see him getting sacked. I don't see him getting sacked, but
Do you
keeping
think that is the
him,
correct move?
I think keeping him, I don't feel like the correct move. But you know,
Mm,
but no, I have to throw in there based on the mess that already happened. If they sack 10, are going to get worse. So I feel like at this point, you have to ride this out.
cool. But
I can't see him getting sacked because again the team's so up and down that he'll always find a way to save his
yeah,
job with a big win over
hmm,
somebody, beat Liverpool
yeah,
or some shit. Bayern, I don't know. And do I think it's the right move? Yeah, I think they should be looking to finish the season with him at least. If we were talking about a short term
hmm,
sacking, I don't think that now is the right time to go bring
yeah,
somebody new. I will shake up the place
hmm,
too much. They need to address the players that they have first before
yeah.
anything else.
I kind of the same camp with
Hmm.
kind of what both of you have said. I don't think sacking him is the right move. Honestly, part of it is because when you look at who's out there, I don't think there's much correct answers. Now there are some wild guys in terms of like Joachim Lau is without a job, and this is a proven coach on the international level. Now if he's willing to bring it down to the
Uh, the balls
yeah,
bigger though.
his bottom
Oh
bigger
no,
though. But if he's willing to bring
sorry.
it to club level, it's to be determined. But if Salek was he would have tell you that he thinks that as somebody that Chelsea should be looking at. So I mean, if he's good for one feeling big club, then he probably is good for the other. But I also do think for that same reason, though, I do think it's the correct move not to sack him because again,
Yeah.
I don't think there's much options out there, and for all it's worth, and I have said this before, and I'll say this again, I do actually think that there's a decent coach in Ten Hag. However, one, he needs to be supported way better than he is now. Like he should have like no say in recruitment, like whatsoever, at all, none. Unless somebody help him with that, and he also needs help in genuinely turning over this squad. Like, and I do think that some people are gonna have to have some very uncomfortable conversations about their favorites. And again, I'm putting up in this so we can move on. And I'm gonna say this: everybody knows on this pod, and everybody who knows me knows that I am a massive Ozil fan, right? And at the time, it bothered me a lot about how we got rid of him and whatever. But now I sit in my second year fighting for a title. I am 1 point off first, and I am in the Champions League, top of my group, and already in the knockout stages. I do not care. Truth is, I don't care because we may have sacrificed players that I liked, but there was any process of getting us to where we are here. And I honestly couldn't care anymore. So, that being said, we can move on to Chelsea Football Club, which is another mixed bag. But their mixed bag is a lot weirder because, Patrick, if I told you to watch Chelsea's metrics, they would have them as the third or fourth or fifth best team in the league, depending on which ones you watch. But yet, we find Chelsea Football Club only at 12th. And in fact, if Everton did not get a points deduction, they would have been above them, who they
Hmm.
lost to this weekend. But again, this is what is one of the most mixed bag teams you'll ever find in the league because they'll go from beating Brighton, despite being down to 10 men, to being dominated by the inconsistent Manchester United. To then play Everton another weekend, having a decent first half, then nothing to show for in the second half at all. So then now, I asked you the same question I asked you about United. Where we seeing this team going?
Um, yeah, I could try and answer that question. I think it's going to get a little bit better from here. Firstly, because it's only so long that they could last, making all these chances and stuff and not scoring enough
So you
goals to
think
win games.
variance will
I
go
think
in
it's
their
a good
favor?
problem that maybe the reason I'm saying that is because Nkunku back in training And I think he had a big part to do with how the season started for them now. Because all in preseason, well, we know how good they looked in preseason. Some of us thought they were gonna finish third and stuff
Yeah.
in the table. I think I
Yeah,
had them
something
fourth
included.
or third. I'm not even
Yeah, no, I
sure
had them up there
where.
too. Yeah.
But
Virgil had
they
them
were looking
second.
good, right? We all thought right.
Yeah,
So no, just saying, right? Like we all agreed that they were
Yeah,
looking good in
yeah.
yeah,
preseason.
that's true.
And
Yeah,
that's yeah. And I think losing Nkunku literally 2 days before the season start was the start of their downfall, because nothing really changed from preseason to the start of the season. They still create an insane amount of chances. They still have good defensive numbers, all this and all that and whatever. What they don't have though is a good finisher. And in Nkunku, they had someone that was guaranteed 20, 25 plus goals a season, every season for like the last 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he would have come here
He
and
did top
score
score the
100
Bundesliga
goals,
last year.
but right.
Yeah.
And the year before, he was like one off
From
from
Lewa.
from
Yeah.
from Lewa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a guy that knows how to find the back of the net. Maybe he's not a crazy finisher or whatever, but he knows how to score goals, whatever. The penalty situation would have been solved too, because he scored all his pens. He don't miss those.
Yeah.
Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that it's tough that they lost him, right? Losing him now meant that we're looking at a front three of Jackson, always inconsistent. Sterling, always inconsistent in front of goal. And Mudryk, same thing. And then Cole Palmer doesn't really get into the box. Most of his shots
Yeah.
come from outside the box. He's been a decent finisher at City, but at Chelsea, he doesn't get the good chances. The good chances fall to the
Yeah.
inconsistent ones. So for that reason, I don't think that they're going to magically stop creating a bunch of chances. I do know that Nkunku is on his way back shortly, and I also know that the fixture is about to turn for the better. So I do expect them to pull it together a little bit. Defensively too, at some point, they have to stop conceding weird stuff. Because again, their metrics are more or less solid defensively, but they concede too many goals, I would say. So yeah, I think it will all smoothen out, and I think they have the right set of games coming up for that to happen. So yeah, I think it's upside for them.
Cool. Virgil.
yeah. So you see with Chelsea is if I ask you the same question like with United, see Chelsea I understand Chelsea's situation a lot more like what Patrick mentioned. Those players are all them players who are coming back because we saw how they were in preseason. So it's like okay, when they come back, we give them the benefit of the doubt that Chelsea could get back to this level, and Chelsea have the personnel. The only question that we have with Chelsea right now is really just on touch. I not even gonna go and say the players. 'Cause I find the players that Chelsea have good for the situation that they're in right now. So you see with Chelsea, yeah, so I feel like Chelsea is a long term project. Really, it really is a long term project. I can't sit down here and say I expect anything. Expect no big turnaround. Even when those players do come back from now to the end of the season, I feel like because right now where they sit right now, that'll be tough to see them back to where I predicted them to be. But
Yeah.
honestly for Chelsea, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for Chelsea. I just can't.
Um.
Hmm?
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so
Sorry.
I just said I just can't say yet what it is or how close or how far that light is, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Chelsea.
Okay. I am actually gonna go on the opposite end of this. Then I think Chelsea gonna finish probably higher, as like 8 or 9 or something,
Hmm.
and I don't actually think it's gonna improve that much for Chelsea. And it's not entirely a quality issue because again, I do think that we have seen a lot of patches that I was going big on them for other weeks. Is that what I have realized is two big things. One is obviously what Brandon pointed out with discipline. Part of discipline is the ability for them to recreate a certain level of performance every single week, and they don't have that. They just don't. And then the other part of it is entirely mental. One, there is no culture at Chelsea. There is nothing for these players to buy into, and therefore, when it comes to any form of, what's it what I'm looking for? Not um adversity. When it comes to any form of adversity, they just throw in the tools. And this is similar to like what we say about United players as well. Is that when they go down in games or when the tide turns against them in games, they go from being a decent side to the shell of, like, if they saw a ghost or something in these games,
Mm-hmm.
and then they really um they drop off on the ball, they receive the possession, and then they just concede chances after that. And I think part of it is there's a lack of leadership in the team, because they, and like, this is the same issue I have with United too. It's like, why it is that we are seeing that key cogs in both of these teams are players that they actively try to push out of the club over the summer. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, if we use that as a big indictment of United, then we
Very good talk, John. Yeah. On they had to stop that rant one time. See when he
Yeah.
started to get passionate, so
yeah.
I'm glad he could join us.
Yeah. Welcome to the Corner Flag Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's your day been?
That was,
Yes, the last thing I talking about Conor Gallagher and him being captain.
yeah. That no team that any of us was creating for Chelsea going into this season included him. But he's their captain. And on top of being their captain, he's what, one of their top three players of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say? Both about the players that the manager wanted, they keep, and the clubs wanted, they keep. Like this is the same thing for United too. We're looking at Harry Maguire, that everybody that wanted him gone just when the Premier League player of the month. Because one, he's playing so much, and two, because he's been dependent on so much. Again, what does that say? What does that say about what the manager wanted in the team? What does that say about the players that the manager was relying on? So they'd have to turn to players that you are trying to force out of the club to be key cogs in the team. McTominay is Manchester United's top scorer. Nobody wanted that man here going into this season. And it's the same thing for Conor Gallagher, right? So then now you have players that you didn't even really want becoming key parts of this team. There is no leadership in the dressing room as to where this team is going. You have a mix of players who achieve things already and don't feel inclined to push on for more in like Thiago Silva and Raheem Sterling. Then you have a bunch of wild card players that you brought in, and players like Jackson and the Sassy. And then you have other players who you have kept around that have underperformed, and you keep depending on them to perform. And there's also a bunch of mixed matching profiles. So I think all these things come together. Honestly, I don't see it turning around for them much in the long term. I don't doubt that they would pick up wins, but it relies so much on Nkoku coming back and basically hitting some serious levels of clinicalness when they get
Mm-hmm.
these chances. Because what I am seeing with this team, and you all can tell me if I'm wrong, is that they can't go behind. They just can't go behind in games.
True.
Because outside of the Man City game, we've never seen them actually show fight to come back from behind in games. Which shows that they are capable of it, but don't have the discipline to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I'll get them all. I think about that.
No. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree.
I agree with everything you say, except I don't think that Nkunku need to come back and be Harry Kane in order to save the thing. I think he just needs to be a normal flecking person. Like just finish like a normal striker would. A regular
Yeah.
striker, Finish like, I don't know, like Watkins or something.
Hey, Watkins is a beast striker.
Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get a point though.
Watkins are next one that's get real chances
Yeah.
though. I don't think Watkins has overperformed
I
his
don't
thing,
think so
He just get
either.
real
Yeah,
chances and
sure.
score
I
half
can
of
tell
them.
you if he is though. But yeah. Credit to what you say.
He might be doing it this season. But that's what I was gonna say. Just finish like a regular human being and we'll be fine. Cause Jackson, Lord alone knows, and Sterling has never really been a good finisher, right? So who gonna fault him for that? And Mudrik, same thing, and just come back and be regular, though. Just come and be regular. And I think it'll be okay
Watkins is actually
in terms of the goals.
underperforming, but by 0.37.
Yeah.
He has expected goals of
And
8.37,
so he should have
and he
had
has
more,
8.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that makes sense because Watkins is a guy that does get a lot of chances, score half of them, and by the end of the season look good. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
But he's not a clinical
Yeah.
finisher. I don't think anybody should be saying that.
Yeah.
It's just people like to say clinical striker when somebody score
Yeah.
plenty goals.
Yeah.
That's all it
It
is.
also has like a lot to do with perception as well, boy. Because for example, right, if I take my first chance and miss the other three, people might actually say I'm clinical. But if I score my third or fourth one, but miss the first two or three, they will
Yeah,
say that I'm not. You
Yeah.
know, and like that's
yeah.
a big part of the perception. I just wanted to check quickly what was Solanke. Solanke has also on 8 goals, and he's also underperforming by 8.48. But both of them are
Yeah.
having really good seasons. Or you know how to forget to say on the Bournemouth game, and I'll also say this for Everton, is that I am seeing players in here, boy, that genuinely I can see them at a higher level.
Yeah.
Like you see
Yeah.
Milo Kirkes for Bournemouth,
Yeah.
dog, die left back here. Die left back, dog.
Hmm.
Big man thing. I really like him, boy. And Marcus Tavernier is
Yeah.
having a great
He
season,
is good.
dog. A phenomenal
I
season,
mean,
dog.
he's been good though. Last season
Yeah,
he
Yeah.
was clean as well. He's just well injury prone. He have a bad
yeah.
hamstring. That's his
And then
problem.
now with Everton now, though I being so real and I really mean this. Dog, I generally think Dwight McNeil was always a very good player, a
Oh
pretty good
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
He probably just needs to just
Yeah.
constantly be on the short dice, but he is a really good player.
Yeah.
And Jared Brathwaite at the back for Everton, dog, on God, I think he can be the next John Stones. Like,
So hot take
mm,
though, I don't think it have anybody at Everton apart from Brantwaite that could play a level up. I think they're
I can
all
agree
where
with
they
that.
need to be.
Yeah.
All
No,
of
no,
them.
I can agree with that. To be fair, I
Yeah.
can't lie. Recently, I started to have like a tight, not much, but like a tiny bit more respect for Pickford. Not by much though, but like I actually realize like how
Pickford is
he's
a
tend to
goalkeeper.
come pretty good for them a lot. It's just the T-Rex hands will always throw him off.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
move on. Before we get
Mm.
caught in a yeah, you're right.
Anything else with Chelsea? Chelsea do have a good run of fixtures to be fair, but like I said, I just think you're asking players who aren't at you see, like I think a big part of leadership, which is why I so don't understand why Thiago Silva is not the captain, right? A big part of now they are natural leaders, right? They are players like Declan Rice, for example, who like you can tell, when they step on the field and the kind of gravitas that they hold, and not just because it's him, but like that's just an easy example to use, right? But like there should be players that have been at the club for 5 or 6 years, hopefully at least 3, 4, 5, 6 years, that can understand what it means to play for the club, the pride it has to wear the badge. And like we watch these soft factors, and a lot of people might roll their eyes and be like, "Dog, it's just a job. They should have this commitment." And right, it is. So then, what makes people go over and beyond? What is there to force people that when the chips are down, why should I try to go that extra mile to correct the situation? And that is something that Chelsea
Right.
has sorely lacked. And let me tell you something, yeah. Bowley in 4, 5, 6 years, maybe 3 years, if like everything really aligned for him, might make Chelsea to the super great club because he acquired all the best talents and eventually is throwing off more than the wall, something sticks. But I will say this, he has decimated the culture that Abramovich has made. And I
Yeah.
be so real with that.
Yeah.
Chelsea was known as a club to be fair in the dog. You go to Stamford Bridge, dog, you had to step correct, dog. I remember, dog, I hated to go there, dog. I felt like we was always going to get licks. Dog, we undefeated the last 4 times we went there, and we win the last 3 times we go on there. Dog, that can't, and I mean that I know that also extends to the Abramovich era, but like even though it was probably dipping a little bit in terms of the fair factor,
Yeah.
dog, it's completely gone now. Chelsea was the Premier League bullies in it. You
That's
go there, dog. Expect for it to be rough and strong and big and powerful. Dog, watch this Chelsea side now.
Yeah, but they lost all their African players though. That was a big deal.
Jackson,
Like I
no.
don't know why they stopped recruiting from
But
Africa.
Jackson, no.
You remember the team of Doug Jackson is a fake African, like be real. Doug, when it was
It was
SCN,
SCN, Kalulu, Drogba. Who
yes.
else it had, boy? SCN, Kalulu, Drogba, John
No,
Obi
there was
Mikel.
there was one more.
Yeah,
Mikel.
dog. It had a few to be fair.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and before that Makalele. And those guys well Makalele French, but
But still.
also not really French.
yeah, I know him.
But the point
Yeah,
stands, right? Is that it went from big bullies. I put John Terry in the mix too. He was a big
Cahill
bully.
too.
He
I
was
like
a white guy,
it's
but
also like
whatever.
the kind of like the attitude they used to take the field with. Like you have to go through us
Right.
to beat us. That kind of
Yes, but
way.
they don't really
But
have that
no,
no
but
more.
right.
They have
They don't
weird
they don't
players now.
recruit to that effect anymore. And because they don't just recruit to that effect anymore, what was the identity? They buy players who will never like be recognizable to that. Then I know we kind of going long on this, but they'll
Mhm.
never identify with that. Like again, don't take this the wrong way, yeah? Especially you, Vigil. But like for all the man has achieved in his career, I have never associated Thiago Silva with that, even though he's a defender and stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
never associated that with him. In fact, the truth is that I really associate Thiago Silva with more being a butler than anything else. But like when I watch like so many of PSG falling apart, is Thiago Silva was part of it. Unfortunately, he didn't get to actually play the Champions League final with Chelsea, but like with Brazil even and stuff like that, like so like even the most senior player, I don't associate with like standing strong in adversity.
Yeah.
The most senior player. So then, how you can expect that from the rest of the squad? You know. Um. Yeah. So we'll probably go in that, and we'll move on to Newcastle versus Tottenham, which show of hands, all those who thought Newcastle was going to win.
Yep. I thought so.
I thought Newcastle
No.
would.
So if you watch my FPL and all, you would see all my Newcastle players on the bench.
Did you captain son?
I really thought Spurs was going there and slap them.
Oh, okay.
Nah. Captain Haaland, because he was playing Luton.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then nobody
You know.
dog pull out with this mystery knock, yeah? But Haaland get dropped on all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They win. Uncomfortable conversations. Uncomfortable
Yeah, man.
conversations. But yeah. Newcastle lost 4-1 as Son
Is
slapped.
Newcastle away though?
Yeah. And that is the thing. And like
So that's honestly why I thought they was gonna lose that. And you have to remember too, Newcastle not built for December.
yeah, they are.
Because Newcastle will always do this thing. It will be like, well, not always. This season they've been doing this. Where like they will play 3 games, and that 4th game is where they just have no gas, no legs. And it's because of how they play. And they have no subs also. So the same guys playing all these games. So it is kind of, come back to bite them.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, Newcastle lost 4-1 as Tottenham ended their losing streak. And now both teams kind of just sit more or less in the same place. In terms of where these teams we see them going forward, I mean, at some point Newcastle will start to actually pick up wins on the road, right? At least you would hope so. But with Tottenham, I kind of feel like because of especially the injuries that Tottenham are dealing with, that what we're gonna see from these two teams is kind of similar to what we're gonna see from them. We have seen from them so far, is that Tottenham will just honestly continue to be electric going forward, and they'll be entertaining and stuff. It's dependent on both Vicario doing extremely well on his own, as well as teams underperforming when they get chances. And then with the Newcastle side now, when you go to them, be terrified. When you host them,
Yes,
demolish them. And that's just
True.
kind of but again,
basically.
like for a team of Newcastle quality, you expect that to turn around at some point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus, guys have to come back
injury.
from thing
Yeah.
too.
In terms of this individual game, because to be fair, this capped off what should have been a good week for Newcastle, but actually was terrible in terms of the beat United was on a high from that. They could not find a way against Everton. And Everton punished them for the 2 mistakes Trippier make and then, better score one in the end. And then now rock up to Tottenham, who were very eager to right the wrongs of the last little bit. And Udogi scored before Richarlison gets a brace. Who would have thought we watching a Premier League where Richarlison have more goals than Hoyland? Who would have thought? And then we have Son, who put the icing on the cake in the end. But
Yeah.
also somewhere there. Oh yeah, Joel does score in the end in the tracks. But yeah, so this wrapped up a pretty bad week for Newcastle, and this is a Newcastle team that has to host AC Milan, win, and hope that PSG don't win,
Yeah.
and the Signal do not back. So
I think it's looking good for them though, because first of all, again, home. So they have all that energy from the crowd and stuff. I really think that is feeding into their play style. Right? You see that energy from the crowd and all that good stuff. So yeah, I expect them to win. And what do I expect from PSG, boy? A loss. So yeah, I think it's looking good.
dog, imagine we in 2023 and Emil Kraft and Matrici coming off the bench for them, dog. That's
Yeah,
tough,
man.
bro.
But again, it's
No, no,
circumstance
I know,
because
I know.
half of their backline is
Yeah.
injured. Yeah, and half of their midfield is
For what it's
injured
worth,
or
though,
suspended for
I don't
gambling.
doubt that, like, because like Trippier had two pretty bad games, right? I don't doubt that part of that is generally
Yeah.
because his legs just getting run through because he has to keep playing. And in an ideal
Mm.
situation, his minutes would have been taken up at least partially by somebody who was actually coming to the side and
Yeah.
played pretty good. Tino Livramento,
Liver.
who
Yeah.
I kind of started to think might deserve that England call up sooner than later. Because
I mean, he looking
he
good.
might actually be like the complete will of what you're looking for, like what we thought Reece James would have been. But like everything
Yeah.
defensively and then everything going forward that you could ask for, a bit more
Yeah.
complete package compared to, Trent and Trippier and Walker, who might give you really good on one side, but not at their best on the next side. You know,
Hmm.
Virgil. Oh, sorry,
Well,
bad.
yeah. No, that was it.
Virgil, anything?
Respect to Spurs, respect to Newcastle.
You take your lead, bro.
Okay. For this, yeah, for this, honestly not surprised, and I actually don't want to be too hard for Newcastle because like as already mentioned, Newcastle still have players to come back. But you see, it's good that we transition for we talking about the Chelsea United, the Newcastle and Spurs. Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle, them basically making this prem unpredictable because 1 minute, 1 minute Chelsea beating Spurs, then after Newcastle beating Chelsea, then Spurs beat Newcastle. Like you can't watch this game and paint any picture or analyze anything that's going to make sense. From this game, from this game, we already know
Yeah,
Newcastle away form just strange, but yeah, I feel like the biggest thing that I'll have to speak on is honestly how surprising Spurs has been. Because I'll be real with you, although everything wasn't the smoothest with
yeah,
them, with all the injuries they have and everything, I had to say fair play to Spurs and Ange for going on right now, because honestly, it could have been a lot worse, honestly. So I
yeah.
feel like one big positive from this
Also, I
is
want to say
looking at
this.
Spurs.
I wanted to say this before we go to the La Liga title race. A few weeks ago, I had said that, and this was especially when Tottenham was winning, right? That Ange is the biggest indictment on Ten Hag. And let me say this, right? I don't necessarily believe that like Ten Hag, not Ten Hag, sorry, that Ange style of football is like the best style of football out there, and it would lead them to winning trophies and stuff like that. But I think what is the biggest indictment is the fact that within a couple weeks of being at Tottenham, and a Tottenham team that spent the last God knows how long being a counter-attacking team, he got them to play in his image. You
Yeah,
know? Now, in terms of what is sustainable and what could be continued across the whole season, I all for that conversation. But I think it is an indictment that somebody could come in and after a few weeks implement the kind of football that United fans was sold on again Ten Hag from signing him from Ajax. And I yet to see any semblance of that. Or
yeah,
rather that they tried to see something like that last year and started the season with two losses in two and was falling along to Brentford. And he abandoned it. And that is why I say that there is the indictment. But so it goes. Right. Next up in the big hits. What time are they seeing?
As in how long the clock been running
Yeah.
for? What is the
The
actual
how
time?
long the clock running for?
I have been running for 44
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Oh,
44.
great. Glad at all I can see that.
Yeah,
Best.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. We ain't doing too bad for time then. Right.
Nah,
Barca
it's
and
okay.
Girona, guys.
Is that a big hit
Yes, this
or
is a
what is
big hit.
this? What
This
you
is
want
the
to call
last
this?
big hit, and then we'll go into
A big
some
hit?
quick ones. Because we need to
Okay.
discuss the fact that La Liga title race is currently being led by Girona.
Yeah,
Now, I have
Uh-huh.
described Girona as, they could have their Leicester year, right? However, being completely real, they aren't exactly the same as Leicester because they are owned by the Manchester City financial group. So they're not exactly like broke or anything. But
You would think so.
they also have not like been. It's not like they were splashing cash or nothing. Like nobody was expecting this from them. And so we stand here 16 games in, and they are currently top of La Liga. 2 points clear of second place, Real Madrid. And after this weekend here, where Lewandowski showed that the Bundesliga is not real, and everything he accomplished there was just CGI, that Barca can't finish their dinner even if they were starving, and that Girona could have actually been very clinical when they got their chances. And I think that was the biggest story of this game coming out this weekend. But I should not be talking about this. The person who tell me Lewandowski is a fraud should be talking about this. Patrick.
Let's go. Okay.
boy.
Shit. Where do I start to this? What you want me to do? You want me to say my frustrations? You want me to tell you how the game went?
I will just say your
What should I?
frustrations about Barca this season, and then we can talk about
Okay.
temporary stuff.
Okay. All right. I think that there's a lot of blame to be shared here, right? So I'm gonna start with the manager. Injuries aside, of course, it's been a very injury-prone season for Barcelona, right? However, manager job is to manage these situations. Okay, I would never sit back and tell somebody how to do their job, especially when I have no clue of how to get it done. But I would say though that if, say, you are a garbage man and you're not picking up the garbage any night, something is fundamentally wrong.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we all
Yeah.
agree, right? Or if you are a sandwich maker, but you don't know how to slice bread and make sandwiches, that's weird. Okay. I think Xavi has a lot of talent at his disposal, and it was really over watching like the last 3/4 games, as well as most of the Champions League games. Because I think there was the game against the first game that we played, we looked good, and also against Porto, I thought we looked good going forward. But then since then, I've kind of developed this opinion that Xavi enters the dressing room and probably says, guys, let's go out there with a lot of passion. Let's try to keep the ball and let's try to score some goals, okay? Yeah. Yay. Let's go. Isca Barca. You know? And but there's no like
Basket wood
yeah,
club.
right. But there's I can't remember the last time that I watched the game and thought like we have a plan, you know? I remember when Xavi first came, he actually came with a plan. It was a weird plan, but it was a plan and it worked. That plan was, let's get Dembele to stay wide. Let's play on this side of the field to switch it over to him. And then Dembele, when you get the ball, please, brother, make something for us. Please, brother. And that was the plan. And it worked. Okay. Now, I honestly think that there is no plan. Our attacking play looks, lackluster. Every time we attack, we do it in a different way. Sometimes tiki-taka, sometimes long ball. Sometimes we try to go with Lewa, who, by the way, has somehow turned into... He wants to be Kane, basically, for us. He's trying to drop in and help with build-up and stuff. And no one has asked him to do that, by the way. He took that mantle upon himself. So, congrats, Lewa. Thanks for that. But he's so bad at it, though. He doesn't really understand space well. And when he gets the ball, a lot of times, he kind of just holds it up for holding it up sake, like you shield the defender and he'll keep it and he'll look strong and whatever, but then he'll just pass it backwards. So it's like, okay, great, thanks. So all of this is to sum up. I don't think we have a plan going forward, okay? It gets to the middle third and to the attacking third. It looks okay in the middle third. It looks worse in the attacking third. I think we have a front three of players that are playing 3 different games. Lewa wants to hold the ball. Rafinha is literally in a world of his own. Obrando. Rafinha is in a world of his own. He wants to make something from deep or whatever, or wants to take on 2 players and then get back by the third one or something like that. And then Felix now, when he gets the ball, he wants to intricate, tack, tack, tack. Dribble this one, dribble that one, and then there's no end product from Felix, which is crazy. And I'm not saying end product means goal, right? But end product can mean at the end of your dribble, fine, a pass that makes sense. But he would not do that because that's not really his game. So yeah, it's a front three of players that are talented in their own right, but are on three completely different books, not even pages. Three libraries. They are in different ones, are scattered across the globe. And then the midfield, for all their talent, is also somewhat imbalanced. I mean, Gundo has been class, I would
I don't
say,
mean to rush here,
across
but
his entire
I
career.
need you to probably on this in the next like minute and a half.
Mhm.
Okay, well then in that case, going forward, we don't have much of a plan. On defense, I believe that we do. I'm personally happy with the defensive structure. What I think the plan moving forward should be is let's make Cancelo the talisman. He is obviously our best player and most effective player right now. Let's do what we could to free that guy up. Let's make sure that he starts every game on the left side. And if Alex Balde had a whole lot L to his development right now, so be it. Because right now we are 5 points off of Real Madrid, who I believe are the real title contenders, and I think that it's still in reach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would suggest. Let's go for Madrid, try to close the gap. If we could get past Madrid, we will win the league.
What I would also say is obviously Girona is leading the league with 41, Real Madrid on 39, then Atletico are actually on 34. However, they have a game in hand. They had a game that got
Yeah.
postponed. His 2023's real best player of the year continued his great season. His Griezmann assisted Alvaro Morata to open his score for Atletico this weekend before I think it was Korea went on to score, somebody like that. And they beat, yeah, it was Korea, and they beat Almeria this weekend. However, yeah, and thus that leads us to the La Liga titles. Now, Jude Bellingham continues to be Jude Bellingham, and he scored again this weekend. And however, they only drew 1-0, which is why Girona's win this weekend led to them being on top of the table. And so then now I had to ask, like, again, when Leicester did this, and again, there's only so much similarities, right? But it's all small club doing the impossible. When Leicester did this, everybody was saying now that they couldn't do it. In fact, I believe it was, if not this weekend, it would have been next weekend, is when Leicester actually first went up with the league. To
Mhm.
this point, City was leading the league actually. And it wasn't until then that Leicester did. But Girona have consistently been for the second this season. So can they do it? And just to play devil's advocate, because obviously, like realistically, you don't think that they would. What I say would be in their favor is the following. We just said that Barca have no plan going forward. And I agree with that. And I genuinely don't see how that changes. And I think that Xavi is clueless when it comes to that side of the game, which honestly is confusing given the person that he was and the IQ that he had for the game. Then with Real Madrid, they are also dealing with like a ton of injuries as well, and they are relying on Jude consistently bailing them out of games, which has been sustainable for large parts of the season. But is it really sustainable going forward? That is to be determined. We wouldn't know that now, and yeah, it has gotten them this far. But like for this weekend example, it wasn't enough. Now that is not to discredit other players. Even though Vinicius has kind of been in and out of the team, other players has managed to step up in that time, while he hasn't. Mainly Rodrigo. So, however, when we look at Girona now, Girona have multiple sources of goals this season. Their
Mhm.
leader scorer is Artem Dovbyk with 8. Then after him, Southampton legend Christian Stuani with
Come on.
6. Then Savio with 4, who has been great not just this season, but even last year for PSV. And Herrera with 4. And Alex Garcia with 4. And Ivan Martin with 3. And so, like, we see that even though they aren't necessarily a high scoring team, their goals are a lot more shared out. And that may be a little bit more sustainable for them. However, let me hear from Wally then as we wrap this up and then do the quick hits and then we can do the second part. How
Okay.
realistic all you think it is, Virgil?
All right. Okay. So when we look at it at the point from realistic, right now, from a journalist point of view, we don't really look at it as a way of like we're not looking at it like okay, this could be a Leicester season. We're looking at it as obviously we feel like we're overperforming, but we feel that the cards are aligning for us, so we're basically trying to make the best of it because like looking from just this game, looking from this game and looking from the season as a whole. From this game, you look back at the Madrid game when we know what happened. And then look back at this, and then looking at this Barca game, they're going into this game thinking, okay, it's a big game in itself just for the city itself. As good as we were on the day, that really played into because of Barcelona. I don't know what Barca was trying to do. I feel like Barca just forget how to shoot from outside the box. They just I don't know what that finishing was just lacking, and then the decision making in that box was terrible. To that chance for Lewandowski at the end, where you feel like if it was the fault of anybody, Lewandowski, the man that you feel would you feel like you feel like Lewandowski is the man that would definitely put away.
Ah, yes, and Johnny Home, boy.
Boy.
That's tough.
Yeah, but still, I feel like honestly, you just feel like Lewandowski was the man, the power that had us. So when Lewandowski failed to equalize it to I think it was 3-3, and then we came at the end and sealed the 3 points. I feel like many of the issues for many of the luck from that game were just Barcelona just I don't feel Barcelona just didn't know what to do on the day, and that really says a lot. But just from looking at it from the entire season as a whole, people think that obviously Girona is like a big like we under the City group spend a lot of money, but literally Girona net spend right now is zero because Girona like we are like our team is really just a sort of journeyman and really unproven young players. It's a lot of young players that you're really just given a chance to. So it really is surprising to see the level that Girona is at right now. But the difference was the difference that
Yeah.
I would say why I feel like we lean more on the believing side and actually and we lean more on the believing that we could push for something, not just the title, but something big that could create a domino effect going forward for a long term project. It's because all these players right now realize that they are realize realize what happening right now, and they're literally playing for the club. Like what John mentioned, goals coming from everywhere. If you only watch the games, these are players are
They
trying their
also have the
best to
most
chip
goals
in.
per game.
Yeah, it's a lot of players that try that
And
chip in from all over from all parts of the park.
and let me say this too, they
Yeah.
have scored 30 goals this season. Their XG is 30.7. Now, even though you will watch that and say that's overperformance in terms of like how teams generally overperform, that actually falls
Mm-hmm.
very much in line in terms of being sustainable for a team that wins the league.
Yeah.
And even now, their defense isn't as good as the rest. They are sixth and only have 4 clean sheets. But I mean,
We are
dog,
Eric
keep
Garcia
scoring
in
at
the
this rate.
box.
It's
So
hard to say no. Okay, so Virgil, are we giving what percentage as to how realistic you think it is Girona win the league? And after this, we'll do these crickets and get into the next part.
I feel like the percentage is high. The only factor I feel like will bring our percentage is Madrid being Madrid. But I
Yeah,
feel like the percentage for us pushing for that league,
I like how you're
yeah,
saying
but
us, you know. Right.
I would say a 70%, you know. I
Oh,
would say
that's
a
high.
70%. Because
I'm gonna go with
at this
55.
stage in the season, look at all the oppositions that we have played. We have to play them again. We beat them convincingly. The only teams that we have not that we have
They did
struggled
beat
with
Israel.
is Madrid and
Yeah.
so look at the Madrid game. Look at all the other all the other teams. We're not talking about us taking points off the lower place teams. It have teams pushing
No, no, fair
mid-table
is
that
fair.
we convincing wins. So I feel like once the players stay focused, once the coach
And
keeps
fit.
the same style of play and stay fit, you see when we play Madrid again, we gotta try and take some points off Madrid.
All right. Patrick, I heard what you said. I know you don't think they're gonna win it. I still up
Twenty
20.
percent, twenty
I
percent,
can live with that
twenty
though.
percent.
I can live with
Listen,
that though.
listen, right? Listen, because look, right? If we go in with 70 and 55, what we are basically saying, right, is that from here on out, if you replicate this situation 10 times, 7 out of those 10 times, you're gonna win the league. Okay,
Well, I say what
the
it is,
league.
but
Do I get a say in this, by the way?
Yeah,
no, you not. You actually
for
not allowed to
sure.
talk.
Wait.
Damn. Look,
I'll be for real today. The
I could wrap
exact
this up
reason
in a
is
minute.
because we will
The
not
difference
end.
between
We will not end.
I could wrap this up in a minute. The difference between Leicester and everybody else that have made a title push, because since Leicester, we've seen Leverkusen is doing something right now. Leipzig made a
Okay, but
push
to be
the
fair,
season
Leverkusen
after.
is you can't put them in the same bracket as what Leicester and Girona do, dog. Like
Why?
because they are established teams. They are like Leipzig and Leverkusen are established European teams, though. Compared to Leicester, who
Leipzig wasn't established at the time when Leipzig made their push. They just came in from D2.
no,
That was Timo Werner first. Come on, man. Leipzig wasn't established.
we
That
talk
was
about like
Timo
3 years
Werner
ago, right?
breakout season. No, more like 5.
You sure, boy?
Werner been around for
I
a
don't
while,
know.
you know,
That I
dog.
know.
It was Werner's breakout
But
season.
I remember the year they came second. It was like right before COVID, though.
Maybe 4 years.
Maybe. Okay. But
Tops.
I still think,
But
well, okay. But then also, the Leipzig come from,
so the difference is what we're saying. The difference is that the year that Leicester went ahead and win it, they had to be good while other teams had to be bad.
But
Right?
said all they're
That
bad.
is how they won. Because let me finish. Second place was Spurs.
No, I was
right?
Arsenal, but,
Spurs finished. Oh, Arsenal. Okay, same thing. Sorry for the disrespect, but
Actually, to
same
be fair,
thing
that's
because
upset me even
Arsenal
more.
have been bottling leads.
That's actually more upsetting than anything else.
Sorry, but because here's my
You
point,
don't
right?
have to go into that.
Leicester win the league off of teams that generally bottle the league. But every other league that we've seen this happen, Bayern come back and kill. I don't know if it happened in Italy, but whatever. My whole point is that
fair,
it have
AC
too much
winning,
heritage
kind of
between
felt a
Barca
bit
and
when AC
Yeah,
won.
yes, you definitely do.
Milan is a big team
But
though.
yeah.
Milan, if
But
we
yeah,
can't count
but yeah,
No,
Leverkusen
I
true,
know.
for
yeah.
the
I
We
early
wasn't
can't
league,
come,
saying
we
it
can't
was
come,
like
we
that.
can't come,
100% can't
we can't
count
But
come.
I
Milan.
mean, like, no. Yeah, I wasn't calling Milan like again, like how we talk about Girona and them. But I think Milan kind of come more like Leverkusen then in terms of like I think that was a former giant that probably having a year where the stars align for them and probably won't do it the year after. Because to be fair, dog,
Fair enough,
AC
but
even though they make Champions League the year after and the year after that, it was dog. It took them till like the last like 3 days to do that.
what's that? 60%?
It's more like, can I give my percentages alone? I don't want to give enough any
Percentage
analysis.
alone. Percentage alone, eh?
I find
Yeah, okay. 35 Girona, 35 Real, 20 Barca, 10 Atletico Madrid.
Nice. I actually like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I like that a lot.
that makes sense.
The reason I got with 55 is because I'm an optimist. And I all for it. I want to believe in a dream. But
They had to come better than Madrid
no,
though. Madrid and Barca
I
have
agree.
Hey, but
real
what
heritage in
And
this
you're
league.
right.
target in the
So
back?
And
And
what
everybody
I
is
would
playing.
say is just that, like, Patrick, as you rightfully pointed out earlier, is if how Madrid are scoring goals is sustainable. Now, that is not to just all of a sudden mean that because Girona have a set of goal scorers, they are sustainable. But I think, like, it has something to say where, like, one, their goals are spread out. Two, according to the metrics, it is sustainable what they're doing. And it isn't reliant on just one player overperforming a lot. So,
Girona remind me more of Spurs than anything else. A team that's fearless going forward, but they're leaky at the back.
yeah.
They're not
Fair.
going to win the league, dog. They're just not.
That being said, we're gonna go into cricket. So the point of these crickets is that
Hit
we
my quick
cannot go more than 2 minutes on them. So
Yeah.
Aston Villa made it at 15.
That's a pulling time.
Aston Villa made it at 15 win in the league as they beat both Manchester City and Arsenal at home in back-to-back games. Virgil, do you have anything to say on this?
On
You have
Villa,
literally like 30 seconds to talk, eh? Yeah.
dog, I wouldn't have to say on Villa. Villa just become a nuisance. That's the only thing I have to say with them. But
Yeah.
fair play to them, to Emery.
Yeah, I think fair play to them as well. I mean, dog, a loss is a loss either way. I
Dog,
think
you see
there's a lot of
you see how they
differences.
beat us, dog.
Yeah, I'm not going to say like I
Mhm.
think there's differences between how you lost and how we lost, but like either way, what it is that they are doing, despite the fact that they are just like Newcastle and they are abhorrent away from home, what they're doing at home is insane. And credit not just to the players, but to what Unai Emery is building, and fair play to them. Yeah, Man City. Man City managed to finally get a win, Virgil. Who would have thought that was even possible anymore? And it
Yeah,
just so
boy.
happened that they get a win when Haaland was dropped. Patrick, is that a coincidence?
Oh, I want to talk about Villa real
That's
quick. So
fast.
I don't care about City. We can let
Yeah.
Virgil talk about them. One, we need to put respect on Leon Bailey name. He came in and take over the Frenchman. So up the Caribbean, big bombo
Mm.
clap, whatever. Two, one day this High Line is going to punish Villa and they're going to concede about 5 goals. And three, check out this meme.
I did see that meme. I did see that meme.
Yeah,
Nah,
I love funny one.
but John, respect the
Um,
way you asked with that. It's not there's not a coincidence. Okay, it's not a coincidence, but it's not because Haaland wasn't there. The
I have
issue
a
with
serious question of Virgil. When only one
what?
that long is worried.
Yeah, for sure. But
And I have a
the
next
main
question.
yeah.
Um, you realize like it's like in nearly every game all the drop points Ruben Diaz getting skin, right?
Ruben had to check himself, because there's so much defending I could do with this man. But anyway, just what I say. The one
You
highlight.
know more defender than him.
Right.
The one defense I can say is because we had no Haaland. The issue for Luton is Luton had no person,
Yes.
no real focus on of somebody to mark. That was one thing that
Yeah.
I was hoping. I was hoping that okay, Alvarez could become more involved. It just so happened when Bernardo got more involved in the attack, I was like, okay, I understand. But I feel like that also kind of was a downfall for Luton as well. There was no focal point for them to focus their defense on. They were just players popping up all
Um,
over in the box.
again, we want to do these fast. So I wanted to ask you, Virgil. So, with the loss to Aston Villa, that was the first time since Pep Guardiola's first year that y'all went 4 games without a win. Obviously, that
Yeah.
season y'all finished fourth, right? Um, does this have you worried at all about title?
Nah. I won't say
No.
that. This is a period we could pick it up on. Well, once depends on how the Brian look when he come back, and well, Pep could really turn this around. Honestly, we have the personnel. We have the personnel. That's what have my confidence.
And without any explanation, Patrick, same question to you. Worried about title or not? Yeah,
With City, a little
a
bit.
little bit. Fair enough.
I'm not as confident as I
Yeah,
was. I mean, they kind of lost 4 games in a row, but still think they'll win.
yeah.
But I gone down from 100% to about
80, 90, 60.
60,
Hey, that's a
60,
big drop though.
60,
I'll take
60.
that. Where I am is, as I told you all, I don't know if this was on a pod or me and Patrick was just talking separately, but I don't think City win the league this year. I think between Arsenal or Liverpool gonna win it, and right now
Time
it looks
time to
more like
start the
Liverpool than
20.
anything
Time to
else.
start the 22 game unbeaten run. Time to start it. That's all I have
Um,
to say.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you know what's the
I
difference?
guess so.
And dog, again, this is where I find men real disrespectful, and I do not care what all they tell me. The fact that men watch what that German do for every year. Every time they need somebody to step up and put together runs for them, dog. The key party playing it. Whether they come from goals or assists or stepping up to be on the top scorer for the season or scoring openers during title runs or whatever it may be, dog. To then all of a sudden say that he could just go and it will be like nothing happened. I find that very rude. But yes. Liverpool won 2-1 this weekend as well. And Mohamed Salah continues to be a nuisance as he is. However, guys, I don't want us to talk too long on this, but we saw a lot of more instances of contentious refereeing this weekend. And one of them, and one of the biggest ones came in Liverpool. And the reason being that I said contentious, that even though they went on to win, they had a penalty call against Liverpool, and the call was made nearly 5 minutes after the incident happened. And now I want to say this: this is not 5 minutes after they suspended play and took 5 minutes checking it. The game went on for 5 minutes. Possession exchange, hands, stuff like that. Things was going on. And it took 5 minutes of game going on to go back and award a penalty to Crystal Palace. Do we think that was just? Do we think that was fair? Quick answers though.
Um, no, but by the rules of VAR, that's what they have to do. They should change the rules though.
I find
Nice.
you should just forfeit possession if you think is a foul. I can let them check it immediately.
Yeah. Plus,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
VAR must know though. Like when VAR look at it, they would know like, oh, obvious. If it's not
Here what
obvious
I
one,
want to
just
say
stop the
though.
game
Here
and
what I
just
want
tell
to
the
say
ref
though.
like, hey, yo, it's a pen.
It would have be serious bacchanal. Now I know Liverpool went on and win it. But imagine if Liverpool had scored in that 5 minutes, eh? and they had
But
to call it
that
back
has
for
happened.
that
That
But
has
the
penalty.
goal
happened
will be
before,
taken
though.
away.
That has
It
happened
has.
Yeah,
That
before.
the goal will
happened.
be taken away.
It happened before, but like a real long time ago. Though. That hasn't happened recently.
No, VR was only here last
I
season. No,
watched
it's the
that
season
happen to
before.
Barca, boy.
This wasn't that long ago.
You
I
sure,
watched that
boy?
happen to
Yeah,
Barca already.
100%. I'm telling you.
Fair enough. And the last one of the crickets that we have here, I thought that was egregious, and I find that shippiness, and I agree with Brandon that the worst they should do is just relieve pressure, relieve back the ball. Sorry, last two. Sorry, Juventus are the
Yeah.
title challengers. Yes or no? Just yes or no.
Yes.
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 What? Yeah, but you're not supposed to be talking. Next, no, because now I got how to include you in the video
That's right. You just take me out.
Why we can't include them?
because there's an
I'll stay quiet. I promise.
No, you don't start to talk. They're gonna make a difference. He said yes to, and I agree with him. Patrick, yes or no? If you're walking call the table, if you're
I
gonna
just
say
feel no. Only because of who it is now, way. I just see them bottling. That's all. Like again, I don't have no deep level analysis here. I just see UV bottling.
and
Mm.
yeah, fair enough. I hope
Yeah.
all Roma going into like this real hard run, and in the last game, Dybala get injured, and then Big Rob go and run through the back of somebody and get a red card.
Yeah, but
Don Marino probably got killed that
Lukaku is
bad.
on meme, dog.
Virgil,
Lukaku is
yes or
on
no?
meme.
No, Juventus title challengers.
yes, anybody but Inter.
I'll be real. It's gonna win it though.
Inter
It's
looking
gonna
good
win
though.
it though. Just keep it
Yeah,
in
Inter
100.
looking good.
However, where it could be a little bit more contentious is that Bayern lost 5-1 this weekend to Frankfurt. Are we feeling like the wheels could possibly be falling off, or do we still expect them to recover?
I think they recover because of Kane, not because of
Wow.
system or anything. Just Kane and Sane.
Yeah,
That's
for
it.
sure. Not
I
for
do
sure they
agree.
recovered. Yeah, I agree with what Patrick said. For sure they recovered.
The difference, the honest about difference, I think is like I think that compared to before, and I do agree with the whole that Bayern play their league based on the pace that the other team set, right? And they just beat that pace, right? However, where I think is different is that this Bayer Leverkusen team mentally seem to be, at least for the time being, mentally better than where the Dortmund and Leipzig team that challenged them before. And again, I really
I
think
think
a
I
big
think
part of that is the fact that they went to the Allianz Arena, left there being the better team, and left there with a point where Bayern felt salty after that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So of all the contentious ones, I think this is the closest. Like
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
of all the Girona and not us and whoever you want to call it for the Prem, not City and Juve and whatever. I think this Leverkusen is the closest one that could come to. If they win the title, I won't be surprised. Also, if Bayern win the title, I won't be surprised because they do that shit every year. But they have a better system than Bayern. I think they have an overall higher average of like quality players in the team than Bayern. Bayern have some great players, but they have some deadweights right now as well. And they have a better coach, I think, than
Yeah.
Bayern.
Agreed.
That's no, look, whatever, I'm going to keep it on that minute. I like how Leverkusen looking, but let's not forget that Bayern are only 4 points behind and they have a game in hand. So it could get very different soon.
Totally agree. With that being said, guys, we're gonna wrap up this part of the pod. You guys will hear from us again come Thursday when we drop our world class players episode. So catch you guys next time. See you soon. Take it easy. Later.